So, the basics for Wraith are with Into the Void, you can attempt aggressive maneuvers, and if it doesn't work, you have cover to get out with Into the Void. It's a cover ability when aggression goes wrong. If you try pushing and it doesn't work, or if you try flanking and it doesn't work, you can Into the Void and run back to cover. While Wraith's abilities may be really optimal for getting out of a situation that's bad, or getting a kill then leaving, with the protection of Into the Void, or even the Rift Portal, there is potential to be aggressive with them. It's likely to do some creative things. When there's a team camping, you can use both of her abilities to force them to have to pay attention to another angle, and it is risky. And you might die before you can even deploy the portal and then go back in it, or they may push you. But if you have the other people you're playing with pushes at the right time to apply pressure, you can counter their camping by giving them another area they have to pay attention to, and maybe they aren't communicating, maybe they panic, and all three of them turn to look at you, or maybe no one does. And then it's a lot more likely you'll win a gunfight if, instead of approaching from one angle, you approach from two.
Behind. I gotta reload. Fight time. He's on your head. There's no...
If you get hurt really badly and jump into the void and start running back, if the other team's playing really passively, which, at least in ranked, people seem to, it might encourage a mistake, because... And if you've tried attacking, been absolutely rinsed by them, and jump in the void and run away, they might make a mistake, they might get hungry for the kill, and go out to get you. And if they do, if the people you're playing with are good enough, they can punish the mistake that the other team's making by being aggressive. Wraith's ability is so versatile. You either flank, because if you mess up, you're fine, you can just back up, and then you can either exploit it, or just back up and try again. Yes, you have the 5% nerf, but you also have a small hitbox.
He was a combat orange too.
So when it comes to Wraith into the void, it can be quite risky to use the ability to push and not to run, because when you come out of it, you have like a bit of time where you can't actually shoot because you're doing the animation, but you are still vulnerable to being attacked. So it's probably not advised to use it aggressively, but if you have enough confidence in your team, or you want to be aggressive, or you just think you'll be okay, or you get most importantly, if you get bored, feel free to do it. It can work. Typically, if you're going to push with it though, you probably want to use the Rift Portal, so you will actually have an escape, because even if you try to push with Into the Void and the Rift Portal combined, if you manage to jump back in the Rift Portal, back to where you originally started, most of the time they probably won't follow you, even if you're low, because they'll be afraid of what's on the other side, because when someone goes through a Rift Portal, you can hear it. So worst case scenario for the people trying to follow you, you could absolutely pre-fire them and kill them, especially if you have an R99. The time to kill is so quick, it can work. This is just preference, but I personally think a Wraith can just go in, knock one down, or poach a couple of people who are healing, and get out. So that's... And if you mess up, you have a couple of seconds to Into the Void and run, as long as you can notice that you've messed up, or it's not going to work, before you, well, die.
I got one thing. Basically, because rule 1 of Death Totem, do not be so Death Totem. One of them's rushing you, one of them's straight up rushing you, there's 2 rushing you.
I don't know why they thought that was a good idea.
Okay, Revenant's coming in. I arc-starred Revenant, And he arc-starred. Volcane's broke. Last one, where they go? They ran up there.
Now the Hemlok's a weapon that I only recently started using, but I have to say, it is... I get why other people use it. It's really good with its single fire mode, if you feel confident enough with a trigger finger.
Oh my god, this gun is good.
I don't even have a brilliant trigger finger. I'm not amazing with it, but it's just a fun weapon to use, because it's so consistent. It's a weapon that really doesn't punish you for starting to try and go for the head.
Yeah, I did.
Which weapons you use is obviously personal preference, but with Wraith it's not unheard of to just use 2 close range weapons. Typically as a Wraith you're going to be playing a bit closer to people, at closer sort of ranges, not really far away, not that horrible passive boringness to pad evo. There are obviously 2 main contenders for a close range weapon. You've got the Prowler and the R99. It just comes down to personal preference again. If I have the chance between a maxed out R99 and a maxed out Prowler, I'd go for the Prowler, but the R99 is obviously really, really strong, so I recommend you go for like one of those, or if you just want to be an absolute hero and use a hammer point Mozambique, feel free. And then for your second weapon or primary weapon, however you want to look at it, the main go-tos I'd say are probably, again, preference, the Wingman, the Hemlok, and the Havoc. The Hemlok is only really worth using if you've got a decent trigger finger, and my trigger finger's not amazing, but if you can fire the Hemlok decently enough, it's crazy. Especially since it's such an easy weapon to go for headshots with, because it has no recoil. The Havoc is a bit more straightforward. The Havoc is ridiculous. It melts people at range, melts people at close range, tip fires. Questionably reliable. It's really, really powerful. I prefer to have a Wingman and a Prowler, but that's because I just like the potential. Havoc's probably the easier choice. The way I play Wraith, the way Wraith can easily play because of how she works, is you probably just want like a close range gun and then a mid range. And mid range is a bit questionable because it's just, you really just want to push people, get to close range, have your one-on-one gunfight, shred the person, and back out or keep on moving, so the Hemlok works fine for that, because if you do need to support at range, you can do that. The Havoc works where if you're not quite close range, you have like an ADS fight. And the Wingman is just really strong. Now this is something that I cannot stress enough when playing Wraith. Since you want to be getting to close ranges, you need some form of pressure, so take Ordnance. If you're taking 2 close range weapons as Wraith, so you don't really have the means to help the people you're playing with fight the other people at range, use Ordnance to at least cover your push. Ordnance is so incredibly powerful for pushing, especially arc stars, because no one wants to go near them because their radius is giant, so try to carry at least 3 or 4, depending on your backpack. I carry 8, but we don't talk about that. Try to carry at least a couple of arc stars, so when you're trying to push something, you can throw the Ordnance at where you think they'll be, or to cover your push, or if you can straight up see them, try to throw Ordnance at them, because they aren't going to want to fight you through it. They'll either dedicate to pushing you, because they don't want to stay where they are because of the grenade, or they'll run back, allowing you to push up and get to a building, because they don't want to be near that Ordnance because it's stupidly strong. So take Ordnance with Wraith. If you're using the Rift Portal to try and run away, try to end the ultimate in midair. If you manage to end it high enough off the ground, it will not be easy to return through, so if the team follows you, they can't leave, and it's risky to take a portal because you don't know where the portal ends. If you make it a one-way portal, you can completely exploit that you know where they are, and you can punish them for it. Though that is part of why people don't take Wraith portals.